Welcome to Rhythm, a podcast on being in balance through conversations with the Swami. Namaste everyone. I am Sunil with Swami Tadananda from the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center of Auckland, New Zealand. Here again for another episode of Rhythm. How are you, Swamiji?
I'm very good, Sunil. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. In the last episode, we talked about atheism, and we concluded at the end that even atheists are seeking the same truth that we all are, pursuing the same truth on happiness, knowledge, and existence. So, Swamiji, how do we start today's episode? What's the next?
Well, let's put ourselves in the position of a person out there who is not a traditionally religious person, who doesn't go to the temple and church, who doesn't believe in so many gods and goddesses, who doesn't subscribe to these doctrines and dogmas, but is a good guy. Yeah.
There's always, I've got lots of friends that are, that they want to do the good in the world, through charity or give their time for community work and so on. But they don't want to go to temples and churches, right? They just want to do good, but not be as affiliated maybe to a organization, a religious organization. But they're looking to do good. Are these people spiritual, Swamiji?
So you come across many people who say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Yeah, okay.
And when you ask a little bit more, then say, look, I believe in kindness and compassion, in doing good to the world, in charity, in living a good, honest life, not cheating people, not harming anyone out there. And if I can do that, they have peace of mind, and they don't require the other part of just turning up and being a member of an organization or the traditional church, temple and all that. They think that's not necessary for them. Mm-hmm. And they're fine. It's fine with them. It's fine with many for them also.
And they would classify themselves as atheists, possibly. Some
Call
of
them whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because the definition with subscribing to a faith is what you are calling to be atheism. It doesn't matter. These are only some labels, constructs that are there. The important thing from our Vedanta is the purpose of life is to manifest the divine within us more and more and more. If for one going to the traditional form of prayer and meditation and church and temple, if they require those supports to grow spiritually, good for them. For others who don't feel inclined or don't have the temperament but can take up other forms in the life through the work and the profession, and they are also growing spiritually, that means they're manifesting more and more of that spiritual power that's within this. They're also making spiritual progress. And Vedanta really is about that, practical Vedanta. So let us say, take the case of a Western such person, busy with work, doesn't have time for this traditional religious ceremonies, festivals, rituals, has not much interest in these doctrines and dogmas. But like we discussed, he believes in himself, he believes in goodness, and he says, that's enough for me. Let me pursue that path. Is that okay? And we say, it's perfectly okay. Actually, that's even better because he's applying those same universal teachings of Vedanta. It's better than a pen who claims to be religious. He's only a good man when he's in the temple and church, but outside he does all nonsense. Many are there in that category. They are the ones who misrepresent religion.
Yes.
And that sort of hurts the sentiments and the faith of many other people. Many organizations are like that, where they have moved away from that spiritual component and it has become more about the organization, it's more about themselves, it's more about power, it's more about money, it's more about influence, and sometimes their behavior and conduct does not tally up with these teachings, and therefore it naturally hurts the sentiments of all those people, and they would not want to associate with such an institution. And they should not. And there's nothing wrong with that because they don't really represent that. And there are such institutions. We don't have to give any names out there. So these are some of the factors where, it has driven many people away from the traditional religions.
Yes.
Okay. And we have to acknowledge that, like we said, in every 5 years, if the percentage of people who are moving away from the traditional religion is growing at almost like 1% per year, then we'll expect in maybe another 15, 20 years that it will be like 60%, 70%. And those organizations, institutions who do not adapt and meet the needs of the people in the society will also struggle and die out.
Yes.
Okay. But we talked about what is true spirituality is. Okay. Let's look at that part. How a person who is in this 50% and doesn't have all that faith in the traditional religion, can he also, is there a path of spirituality for them?
Yes.
I think that let's have that conversation.
That's a good
Okay.
one.
So let's pick up a few salient points. One, we all are potentially divine. Do we believe in that? Yep. Potentially there's some inner goodness in me. I want to manifest that, whether it's through kindness, compassion, charity or there, but something is trying to seek expression of that. I feel deeply it's good to be good. I should not do harm to somebody. Let me be a source of peace and, kindness and compassion, gratitude and all those things. I think if one has that, that's a very good start. Okay. But what is the rationale behind it? So that these people that you talk to who feel like that and want to do that, of course, can they explain this to themselves in a rational way? Is there a Vedantic explanation behind that feeling that impels them in this path? Of course, the Vedanta is totally based on that. Let's use that analogy of that ocean and wave and say the spiritual dimension behind all of us is that ocean, one without a second. On the surface of that ocean are all these so many waves, which are so many smaller representations of that. They come, they stay, they go, they're not permanent. That's what we all individuals are. But behind the individuality is the real individuality. Individual, when we say, is like indivisible. We as individuals are not individuals. The reality inside us is the real individuality, the indivisible ocean of consciousness. That's what we all are. And that urge to go inwards towards the ocean is what is called spirituality. And it culminates in where we hit that oneness, Advaita, one without a second, that one universal being. In that experience, I find that I'm in all beings and all beings are in me. That's the culmination of spirituality according to Vedanta. That feeling of that expansion where the wave subsides and merges in the ocean and discovers that I am a being that is limitless, pure, perfect, omniscient, omnipotent, eternal, immortal. And then he comes back and looks at the world and he says, the whole world is in me. Okay, and I'm in every being. I'm related to everyone and everyone. I'm not identified with only one wave anymore. You see, that tremendous expansion is what happens in a spiritual realization. That is what produces that Buddha. Okay, and that compassion of Buddha, when he feels for anything and every being, and even an animal, comes from that not understanding, that experience of that oneness. So spirituality is really that the pursuit of spirituality would be an effort to integrate ourselves the wave with the ocean. Okay. And anything that takes us in that direction promotes our spiritual progress. So in nature, you'll find these two forces are there operating. In physics, we talk about the forces, the centripetal force and the centrifugal force. Okay. One takes you towards the center. The other one takes you away. Yeah. In mathematics, you say differentiation and integration. Yeah. In spirituality, we call nivritti and pravritti. Right. Moral and immoral type of thing. So that balance is there. In some people, the outward force is playing more and you will see they are disruptive, divisive, in them there's more of this differential forces are there. Anger, hatred, jealousy, greed, divisiveness, I and mine type of thing. The other one, those who are moving inwards with the help of the centripetal force, the inward force towards the oneness, towards the center, they are, it's like they are inclusive, they are caring and sharing, they're loving, there's kindness and compassion. So all of these things, these emotions and the drive that is urging them towards that oneness is what we call really spirituality.
Yeah.
Okay, and if your friend says, hey, look, I believe in truthfulness, I believe in doing charity, I believe in being kind, I'm sacrificing a little bit of my comforts I feel for the others. I'm not just happy with my own happiness, but I somehow deep inside, whether I know or not, feel a connection with my neighbor, with my countrymen, that urges me to sacrifice a little bit of my personal wealth and whatever I have to alleviate somebody's suffering. I don't understand what it is, but I feel that deep inside me. That is that force, that call coming from inside saying, move towards that oneness. Actually, is that oneness trying to express itself in these ways. So a person in whom that urge is there, which tries to express itself in his behavior, in his conduct, in his actions, and he calls that, I want to be kind to others. I want to bring some relief to others' suffering. I feel deep in my heart at others' suffering. I should not be a cause of harming anyone, hurting anyone, ahimsa, and all those type of things. I have to be truthful, because deep inside the truth is that oneness, and I want to feel that. When I conduct such an activity, I feel good about myself. I went out and sacrificed, cooked some food and gave to some hungry neighbor or somebody. Okay, when I come back, I feel good about myself. What has happened? That act has taken us one step inwards towards that oneness. That infinite existence, knowledge, bliss that we talked about in its ultimate is in that oneness.
Okay.
So anything that takes us in that direction is spiritually good for us.
Yes.
But how do I make that progress is to not just simply believe in that and say, hey, there's oneness, we are all one ocean behind them, any type of thing. No, our actions must also reflect what we deeply believe in and feel. That would be this Vedantic spirituality. But he's just not sort of going by feeling, he's understanding the whole thing also. Rationally, he understands that if I can, in this journey of life, make that progress so that I integrate myself deeper and deeper and realize that infinite being in myself that is there, that would be so wonderful. And I'm going to use all these activities, duties, responsibilities and opportunities that come in my everyday life to consciously move in that direction. So he's not just doing charity for the sake of charity or for some name or fame or just feel good factor. No, he says, this is spiritually good to me. I might have relieved some suffering for somebody else. That person might appreciate and say thank you, or might not say thank you. That doesn't matter. That is not the reward that I'm looking for. The reward that's driving me is that I should grow, evolve, manifest the divinity within. And what is the divinity? More and more of that oneness. More and more of that underlying oneness that's connecting me with anyone and everyone. And its culmination is that ultimate, where one feels the whole world is mine and I'm everywhere, in everyone type of thing. So now we have not used any terminology, the traditional terminology. We're not saying believe in this book, or we say believe in yourself, believe in that deeper self, the spiritual dimension. Understand that at that level we are connected with it, the whole universe.
Yes.
And in our everyday life, we make a conscious effort, to move in a deliberate way in that direction. Make sure that you don't get caught by the centrifugal force, but the centripetal force, the inward force.
What are some examples of things that we can do that will move us inwards?
So you might say, okay, and somebody asked me the other day, what is a definition of morality? What is moral and what is immoral? What is good and what is not good? What is spiritual and what is non-spiritual? Is there a yardstick by which, when I'm taking a decision whether I should do this and I should not do this, can I apply something on the spot? Okay. And say, this is good for me. I'll do this.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the definition. Anything that takes you towards that oneness, anything that integrates you deeper with the totality, that is good, that's moral, that's righteous, do that. And you'll find that all spiritual teachings in the practical form, when they say non-violence, kindness, compassion, charity, service, are all basically trying to guide you, the person, in the direction. And he says, do this. These are do's. The don'ts are all those things that take us away. Okay.
Sometimes there's a dilemma though, Swamiji, when you go, it feels that the decision is X and it will do good, but it might be good to just me and bad to others. And it might, like there's decisions where you selfishly is good for you or good for your family, but not for the wider good, the community good or public good.
Yeah. So there's two forces. That unselfishness is the one that will integrate you. Selfishness will alienate you.
Right.
Okay. So selfishness is, the wave is saying, I'm just interested in myself.
Yes.
Or the few relative waves that are around me. The rest, I'm not interested in them. You see? And will that allow him to integrate with the totality? No. He creates the division where he's excluded the others. So he'll never reach the totality. That's why there's a 3-word definition of God given by Swami Vivekananda. Unselfishness is God.
Right.
Okay. It's wonderful. The more unselfish we are, the closer we are to the divine or God being that we talk about, who's within us, our true higher self, so to say. So that yardstick becomes good. And say, okay, is this a selfish decision? And if it is, then you say, this is not going to integrate me. But we go from a lower truth to a higher truth. Okay, we start with maybe somebody is extremely selfish with him and her. Okay, but then, they get married, they have a family and this and that. So they're forced to sacrifice your time, effort and all those things with at least your family members. Then that extends out to your relatives. Okay, I have to do this because, so it forces you to sacrifice, become a bit more unselfish. Then what about the neighbors and the people around, So the more we expand, okay, the more we are growing, the more unselfish we are becoming. That's a yardstick. The more spiritually we are growing. And ultimately, when the heart has expanded to an extent that you feel that everyone is in mine, not just this small family that's mine. I feel equally for everyone.
Yes.
That is the heart of this wonderful realized souls. And it's from that position they reach out and try to, serve mankind, where they sacrifice their own physical comforts and personal thing. Everything goes away because that's where the wave is trying to say, I'm going to sacrifice myself because I want to become the ocean. You can't, the thing is, you cannot remain the wave and be the ocean. You have to make that transition. The importance, the focus, the location has to shift. My self-identity. What do I want to be? So spirituality in that sense is discovering or regaining that identification with that spiritual dimension in which the whole universe is my own, that oneness. So what would that be in everyday practice? It's good to have all this philosophy and understanding. Okay. But how do we apply them? And so in the Ramakrishna mission, those who are familiar with the logo of the Ramakrishna mission, designed by Swami Vivekananda, represents that wonderful synthesis of these various paths that are there. What are the basis of these paths?
Paths for spirituality.
Yeah. Spiritual growth, manifestation of the divine. How can I manifest the divine?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the goal. Okay, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest the divinity. Swami Vivekananda says. The way to do is by controlling nature, external and internal. He says, do this by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Then he adds another line, doctrines, dogmas, rituals, ceremonies, temples, churches, and all those things are secondary details.
Yes. It's a very different, right?
It's a different, see, the essence has got nothing. So what happens this over time, the secondary details hide the primary.
Yes.
And the institution and the organization and
front stage.
All these things have become more important, where the spiritual growth of the seeker who turns up, that is not the most important thing for the people in there. Neither for the people who are organizing or those who are even going.
Yes.
So when this happens, then some restoration has to happen, and that's where great spiritual teachers come and say, hey, remove all the husk, unnecessary things that accumulate over time, and give us the pure principles again, and say, take this. And that's what. So I talked about the logo of Sri Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna mission. In there, there's a swan in the center. A swan represents that self of man, the supreme being. Why is it? It's called Hamsa. Okay. So a swan is a bird. If you give some milk, it will be able to consume the milk part of it and leave the water behind.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So the world is a mixture. Deep inside is a spiritual being. Outside it is a names and forms. And a person who has been able to dive deep within and been able to separate the spiritual essence from the body and the mind and the senses and all those individuality, ego and everything is called a Paramahamsa.
Right.
Okay, so that's the goal of everyone. Yeah. Spirituality is about realizing that. How to do that? Well, in this mechanism of a human being, we have got some key faculties built in there. We have got organs of action, karmendriyas, hands, feet, where we are engaged in activity.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing something. Then there is a component inside us that is the intelligence, the buddhi, the power of discrimination, the reasoning, that differentiates a human being from so many other life forms, That's why, because we can do more of that, the human being rules this planet type of thing. Okay. So how do we use that capacity, the rational, the logical capacity to further our spiritual being? We have that faculty, which way we use it's up to us, but that's there. And the third one is this feeling, emotions. Okay, that's very powerful force operating in all of us that ties us to the world, drives us to, and gets pursue things that we love or want type of thing. Yep. But it's a powerful driving force. Okay, so that's in everyone also. Emotions, feelings. Okay, emotions, the rational part of it, and the activity part of it. So we can utilize these three. Normally we utilize them in pursuit of things outside. So I get up and go work wanting this happiness, knowledge and things outside. Okay. Action for happiness outside. We realize it's not there at some point. Okay. Can we use this action to take us inwards? Okay. If we can do that, then karma, action, can become karma yoga. Yoga means to join the individual mind to the universal self within. So action, when it is not properly utilized, can take us outside. We are running after results of actions and we're happy when success comes, miserable when failure comes, this and that. Eventually, whatever we get also is lost. But if we say, since I have to do work, but I will do it with detachment, without any expectation. I should not be tied to the results of the action. My purpose of action is to integrate myself inwards. So work becomes a means to spiritual development. It's called karma yoga. Emotions are very powerful, we said. Okay, we love people, animals, country, party. Somehow we get entangled and resonate, and then that also influences us. If you love somebody, if that person is happy, you're happy. If they're not happy, then you're also miserable. Somehow we become tied to that, disconnect. So emotions, when it's given out to the outside world, binds us. Okay?
Yeah.
Can we turn that emotion inwards to that source of all that powerful force? That would be devotion. Emotion directed towards the divine is devotion. That is called bhakti yoga.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are forces operating inside. What we are trying to do is use them for a spiritual purpose.
Yes.
And the third one is the power of discrimination, by which we judge, decide what is right and wrong, good and bad, real and unreal, permanent and and with that we succeed in various activities, design, in external world, all the wonderful things. But that same power of discrimination can be utilized to discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent, the infinite and the finite. And if the mind is able to say, everything in this world is transitory, nothing is going to last out there. What I am seeking for is inside. And when we make that discriminatory decision, whether a pursuit should be of something outside or inside, that power that within us all can be utilized to promote that inward journey. That is called Jnana Yoga, path of knowledge. So the first was path of action. Everyone is doing action, but a yogi, a person, a spiritual person will learn the art of working but not getting caught by the work.
Not being attached to it.
He learns the art of detachment.
Yeah.
Okay, that is something we are not taught, and that's why we suffer. Things are not bad in themselves. It's our attachment to things that are the cause of problems. Okay, we surrender our freedom by getting caught by those things, and then they make us stand up and sit down, dance to their music. We blame them, but really it's our attachment to things. Suppose we could go out and work with total detachment. That would be so liberating and free. Okay. Karma Yoga teaches that technique. Okay. Bhakti Yoga is about redirecting that emotional energy inwards in a spiritual direction rather than forfeiting or giving it out to something out there, and we lose our freedom because that makes me dance to its music, so to say. Okay. And then Jnana Yoga, the power of reasoning and discrimination, where I have that sharp, incisive, discriminating sense where before I take up any work, I ask that question, is this going to promote my spiritual growth and development? Okay. And if it's not, there and then I stop, rather than going down the line and then getting knocked around a little bit and suffering by that time. So these are the three yogas, and the fourth is Dhyana Yoga, the path of meditation, which is the royal path, where you put all this aside and you direct that energy and the mind to the source of one's own consciousness within. What is there? Go beyond the body of layer of the body. Go beyond the mind itself. Go beyond the ego and try to integrate yourself with that source of consciousness, the emness that is in me. Okay. That would be your path of meditation. It's like bringing all the rays of light on that central focus point there, mental energy. So when Swami Vivekananda says, these are the faculties in everyone. Okay. And so in that monogram of the Ramakrishna mission, you will see that the rising sun is a symbol of that knowledge. When sun rises, all the darkness is dispelled. When the power of discrimination rises, all the ignorance is dispelled. Knowledge comes and ignorance is dispelled. Then the wavy waters as a symbol of the action. The waves are incessantly moving. So always we are active, active physically, active mentally. Thought is an action also. Okay. How do we use that for self-integration? So the water is representative of the Karma Yoga. The lotus is symbolic of Bhakti Yoga. devotion.
Yep.
Something wonderful is present inside of us, but the lotus bud needs to bloom. And the encircling serpent represents the Kundalini, the awakening of that spiritual consciousness within us. Yep. And so he says, look, all these faculties are within us. When we do not know, we just use this in pursuit of external happiness, knowledge, and all those things. But we can re-engineer these faculties that are within us as tools to go within and discover, remove that, or experience that divine within us. So this is what would be the sort of the philosophy behind it. Out in the everyday life, when we go out and engage with people, duties and responsibilities, customers, patients, students, we try to put these principles into practice consciously, and you'll find so many opportunities are there. And a person who is trying is alert, vigilant, and saying, every opportunity I will try to see if I can apply this philosophy, this perspective, and grow. Then that office becomes a place of worship. The doctor's surgery becomes a place of worship. The shopkeeper's business place also becomes a place of worship, because in every such place you are consciously making an attempt to manifest the divine within you. So religion is about that. And whether you go to a church and temple, and whether that helps you in that spiritual process and all those things, if it helps, and for many people, they're designed for that. It's just sometimes people don't understand. They see the external forms, and they don't understand the rationale and the philosophy behind it, because it's not explained, or they never ask the question. So they deprive themselves of that, of the benefit that comes. You throw the baby with the water type thing. But it's good to ask the question. Answers are there, but if you don't ask, who will tell you? And you'll find some of those so-called rituals and ceremonies and are very, very powerful. Through them, thousands of people have made tremendous amount of progress. Why would you, lose that opportunity to take the benefit? But with knowledge, ignorantly, if you follow, then it doesn't have much benefit.
Okay. Right, Swami, that was quite good. Thank you.
Yes, Sunil. Okay, let's pursue our discussions. What would be the next topic? Think of something that will take us to continue these discussions a little further.
Sure. Will do.
If our listeners have some questions or subjects they would like us to discuss, they can share with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Being in balance, rhythm. For more information, please visit www.vedanta.nz.